David Walliams Slime Chapter 20. The owners were a husband and wife team, Glenn and Glenda. They were meant to sell ice cream, but instead they ate it, all of it, and every last bit. The technique they had for stealing from children was foolproof. The van would be parked up outside the playground or school or bench, anywhere on the island where children could be found. Then Mrs. Glutton would appear at the serving window. "What delicious ice cream would you like, my dear?" she would ask in her nice voice. She had a nice one and a nasty one. More of the nasty one in a moment. Ned looked at the sign and decided what ice cream. "Take your time, my dear," she said. "A Mr. Whippy with chocolate sauce and chocolate chips, and a chocolate flake, please. Ned really likes chocolate." "Wonderful choice. Now, money first." "Can you change a £1 note, please?" asked the boy. It had been a Christmas present from his grandmother. "Of course we can, my dearest of dears." As soon as Ned had passed the money over, she snatched it out of his hand and yelled, "Drive." This was in her nasty voice. Glenn, who'd been sat in the driving seat all along, then put his foot down on the accelerator pedal and they sped off. As they did, the pair shouted, "So long, sucker." Poor Ned was left at the side of the road in a cloud of burning rubber smell from the tires, with no ice cream and no pound note. How could the Gluttons be allowed to get away with this? Griff agreed, of course. There had been so many attempts to bring the pair to justice, but greed stepped in every time to prevent them from being arrested. To think that this awful duo had made so many children miserable caused the old lady's dark heart to sing with joy. The Isle of Mulch often had visitors, providing fresh victims for the Gluttons. The gruesome twosome were not the best advertisements for their own ice cream. Both ate so much of it, straight from the pump, that their teeth had turned black or fallen out altogether. Sometimes a rotten tooth would fly out mid-sentence and hit a child on the head. Because they ate so much ice cream, Glenn and Glenda had ballooned so much they never left their van. They couldn't. It was impossible for them to fit through the door. So the Gluttons slept in their van, and they ate in their van. They even did the toilet in their van. Just don't ask for the chocolate sprinkles. They don't smell anything like chocolate. As Ned zoomed over the island on his rocket, he spotted a long line of children. They were from the posh boarding school on the Isle of Twaddle. Their hideous purple and yellow blazers gave them away. The pupils must have been on a trip to see the world's most boring tourist attraction, Mulch's medieval fort. It was a ruin, little more than a few old stones just out of the ground. Because it was old, grown-ups decided that children had to go and look at it, often for hours at a time. "Dive," ordered the boy. Still riding the rocket, he hovered over the heads of the children. They were too sad to even crack a smile at a rocket made of slime. "What happened?" Ned called out from above. "It was those rotten ice cream sellers," sobbed one. "They took a mammoth order of ice creams from our whole school and made off with all our pocket money." The pair were so rude they shouted at us as well, as they sped off in their dirty old van, said a third. "We thought having ice cream would help us get over the crushing disappointment of having visited the world's dullest tourist attraction, Order 4. But we were wrong. It's made this school trip the worst day out ever," yowled a fifth. "I would actually prefer to be at Twaddle College for Noble Offspring right now doing double mathematics." "Surely nothing is worse than double maths," exclaimed Ned. This is, replied the previous child, before bursting into floods of tears. This set all the children off again. It was a symphony of sobbing. These kids are really annoying, murmured Slime. Shush, said Ned, before turning to the children to ask, which way did the gruesome twosome go? All of the children were bawling their eyes out, actually unable to speak. But for goodness sake, muttered Slime. Instead, the children pointed, fortunately, all in the same direction. Thank you, kids. Slime. That way, ordered Ned, and he zoomed off. I'll be back. The Isle of Mulch was a network of long, windy roads sheltered by trees, so it was difficult to spot cars from above. But then, Glutton's Glacis was no ordinary vehicle. This great pink monstrosity with a giant model of a Mr. Whippy ice cream on its roof would be visible from outer space. Soon the van rolled into view, and Ned signalled for Slime to zoom down beside it. At first, Mr. and Mrs. Glutton didn't see the strange sight of a boy riding a rocket zooming beside them. Glenn was in the driving seat, devouring a humongous handful of ice cream with a flake sticking out. Ned tapped on the driver's window to get the brute's attention. At first, Glenn smiled and nodded back, before the surreal display made him slam on his brakes. The ice cream he was scoffing went everywhere, all over his face, and all over the window screen. Meanwhile, in the back, Mrs. Glutton had been counting the cash she'd stolen from the children. Because of the sudden stop, she found herself upside down on the floor of the van. Help me, you fool, she cried out to her husband, unable to pull herself up to stand. I can't see, shouted Mr. Glutton as he scrambled over his seat into the back of the van. As he did so, his huge foot knocked the tap on the ice cream bottle.